And now, live from Hong Kong, it's Late Night with Goldthread. Our host, Dolly Lee, with special guest, Dayu Tsang. It's Late Night with Goldthread. Might not actually be nighttime.
Hey guys, welcome to the Goldthread Late Night Show. And today,
everybody?
I am with Dayu Tsang.
Hi.
So,
What's good? Hey.
Dayu is actually a video producer with the South China Morning Post, and he recently joined us from Beijing and just moved to Hong Kong. So I wanted to have Dayu here today because, we don't often get to hear a lot from, we've only been interviewing people from our team, so wanted to expand the breadth of our late night show. So Dayu, can you tell us a little bit about what it's been like coming to Hong Kong? How long has it been? What's the adjustment like for you?
Actually, I've just arrived in Hong Kong for a month. I've just recently finished renovating my apartment.
Oh.
Yeah, getting all the furniture as well, moving in the washing machine.
Oh, you had to move in a washing machine?
Yeah, basically because the apartment is so new, everything, we have to build everything from scratch. So spend a lot of weekends just building furniture, working on IKEA.
Where are you living?
I'm living on Robinson Road, even though that sounds really fancy, but actually is it's kind of we're in between two bus stations, so it's not one of the most expensive places.
What neighborhood are you in?
It's very hard to describe. We have a 7-Eleven 2 minutes walk away.
Wait, so are you on the Hong Kong side? Or
yeah,
are
on
you
the Hong Kong side.
Okay, and what neighborhood is this?
It's
Or what train station are you near?
We're not near any train station, unfortunately.
Oh,
but yeah.
It's like that. He's
but
not.
still but we're on the mid-levels though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mid-levels is
so-
really nice. It's
Yeah.
a nice part of town that's up the hill and everything, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the most expensive places in Hong Kong. One of the, but
We're
yeah.
staying on theme for today because we're going to be talking about cash, hoarding cash, and
Exactly.
things along those lines. So Dayu is
So
actually
far so good though.
So far so good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was gonna be super expensive, but it's just slightly more expensive than the other apartments that we were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was in I've lived in Hong Kong for a year and a half before moving to Hong Kong this time, and the last time the rent compared to last time just escalated.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Man, it's so expensive to live here.
It's super expensive. It's pretty much like being in a Manhattan apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like last episode when we were talking about the really expensive pillows, but we won't go into that again. So Dayu is actually from Beijing.
Yes.
Can you tell us so favorite food in Beijing?
Favorite food in Beijing? Mm-hmm. Wow, so many. But I think my favorite of the favorite is there's this barbecue lamb shop in one of the hutongs in Beijing. You got it if you happen to go to Beijing again sometime, I'll definitely recommend that to you.
Nice.
So it's a kind of Mongolian style barbecue lamb. And
That sounds so good.
yeah, so it's just half the lamb, put it on a stove, and you just kind of rotate it and roast it. The best part is you get to slice the meat off it.
Yeah,
And
yourself?
Yes, yourself.
That's awesome.
And you season it with salt, pepper, and garlic a little bit, and then it's so good.
Is it halal?
Yeah, it's halal.
Oh, that's
yes.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so if you're looking for some really good meat in Beijing, that's definitely one of the places you should visit.
Yeah, that's something that we'll have to check out on Goldthread too, more of the
Yeah.
food out in Beijing, because there's such a huge diversity of, different people who live out there, from your really old school Beijing natives who have been there for many generations to people who have moved from all over, bringing their food and their culture to the cuisine of Beijing.
Yeah.
And
I'm actually quite surprised though. When I was a kid, it was not that diverse.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's you can find almost all kinds of food in Beijing,
yeah.
pretty authentic Western food and American food as well. Everything basically you can find in
Yeah.
Beijing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that part of it is really awesome too. So do you, coming to Hong Kong, do you feel like the food is different, or where do you like the food more, Beijing or Hong Kong?
Oh, I mean, it's so hard to compare because food in Hong Kong is awesome too. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy Cantonese cuisine, and you can like also find all kinds of food in Hong Kong too. Like, whatever kind of food that you want to eat, you can find in Hong Kong. And
That's true.
It's so convenient, and
Yeah.
everywhere is like, these shopping malls, and they're like really cool areas, like Soho, and there's this like, in Mongkok, you can find all these cool like, old school kind of Cantonese restaurants.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just like so happy right now in terms of food. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure going from Beijing to Hong Kong is like more and more food paradise.
Yes.
So, we're going to get into our program today. Dayu is going to talk to us a little bit about what it means to be a translator in China, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how people are hoarding cash in China.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Shout out to our friends on Facebook, YouTube, and Daily Motion for catching us on this live stream. I know we started a little late this time. We're trying to be on time, but it's hard. It's hard when all you have is this little room to get started in. So, wanted to first start us off with, what does it mean to be a translator in China? Now, this is some really nuanced information for people who are tuning in. So, for Chinese people who are born in China, so Chinese nationalists, if they want, not nationalists, Chinese nationals working for foreign press, there is a special little clause that the Chinese Foreign Ministry expects of these people who work for foreign papers. So Chinese nationals who work for foreign papers cannot be called journalists, and this is actually something that's written into their law and regulations. So what can Chinese nationals do actually for foreign papers instead?
Actually, there are quite a few things you can do. Like you can do cleaning, you can drive.
You can do cleaning.
Yes.
You can
you
clean.
You can drive. You can get the groceries, and you can send the dirty shirts of your colleagues to laundry.
Oh God.
And you can help them babysit.
That's
everything basically you can do for a foreign publication in China. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean it. But it's not like all joke though. I know some people do that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and some some of the journalists that work in Beijing for international media, they had this unrealistic expectations of their Chinese employees to help them take care of their everyday day-to-day life. Well, if you happen to be watching this, I'm just telling you, man, just don't expect your Chinese colleague to do that for you, unless he or she is willing to.
Yeah.
Because that's really impolite. We're not maids
Right.
for you. So practically Chinese nationals can do research or get into photography, videography, and also drive.
And drive.
Yes, I drove a lot for CNN in Beijing. Yeah.
So Dayu used to work for CNN in Beijing, and for people who are still very new to this phenomenon, there's a lot of conversation right now about what Chinese news assistants have to do when they work for foreign press. And foreign press, that means New York Times, Wall Street Journal,
Yes.
the CNN, things like that. And when you work for foreign press, very often when you're from China, you have to be a news assistant because you cannot be a journalist. And being a news assistant, very often you're doing the same thing that a journalist would. You're calling people, researching, interviewing, setting up these interviews, but you pretty much don't get the title, right? And you are kind of rendered as a second class journalist in many ways, because you don't get to have that official title purely by regulation of the Chinese government. So very often these news assistants who are functioning as journalists have the title of translator.
Yeah, or a researcher, or just some guy who contributed to the report.
Yeah, some guy would contribute to the report. So let's pull up this SupChina article that recently came out from a journalist that decided to exit the industry. His name is Owen Guo, and the article is called "Reflections of a Chinese Reporter in Foreign Media."
Yeah.
And Owen made some really interesting points in here. About what it's like to be a Chinese reporter. This is an article that Dayu actually shared with us. So what are some key takeaways that you got from this?
I think it's a very if you get the chance to get into the details of this article, there's more information, much more that we can and cannot share on this live stream. But the key takeaways from this article is it's basically like a job that has a glass ceiling. You cannot be a full-time journalist, but you have to do all kinds of things like research and also film, take photos, videos, and a lot of times you have to act as this middleman to mitigate between your between the interviewee and the Western journalists.
Right.
So a lot of times, if the Western journalists don't understand what's going on, they will of course refer to you to help. And then if the interviewee is nervous, they first go to you.
Of course. Right.
Yeah.
So in so many ways, obviously working in this part of the world, translating is pretty much it's 90% of the job, right? Trying to help people understand
what's really going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can tell you that there are a lot of situations where you go into a place, and it's not in a big city. Usually, it's kind of remote.
Yeah.
So don't expect people to be talking to you in English.
Right.
It's not like in Hollywood movies.
Right,
you show
right.
up at random places and there's this kung fu master.
No kung fu masters in the middle of China.
Yeah, that played by Jackie Chan. It's oh, so you've come. That's never gonna happen. So basically, I would say Chinese news assistants are very essential, in for work for media to work in China.
Right. And this is something, to definitely be aware of. To quote a little bit from this article, Owen writes that by law, the Chinese are forbidden to be hired as full-fledged reporters at international news organizations in China. They work as fixers. And on top of that, you just can't report on anything. So he was told that he could write stories about pollution and other social issues, but I should steer clear from any critical coverage of top leaders. And another point that Owen makes is that there's a really high turnover rate for Chinese news assistants. So, what Dayu's point that he brings up about how vital these people are, how vital Chinese citizens are to actually being able to report the news and be the liaison between government agencies and the actual publishers of news is pretty tough when you have these high turnover rates and people don't want to stay in the profession.
There are people that actually do. But there are very few, and those people I know, I really admire them because they have great first they have great patience, and second they really have this long-term goal into influencing the media that they work for, and asking them to really take a close look into China and tell the real authentic stories, rather than making stuff up, or a lot of times people have this conception and they bring this conception into work, but there are a few people that actually stick on to their jobs and really try their very best to bring the best coverage of China for their publications. So that's really good. But I really agree with Dolly because it's really hard for our news assistants to stay in the job for so long, because you work there's not actually a way for you to become a full reporter to actually do all kinds of stories. But there is another way that you can actually do work. You can resort to photography and videography,
Right.
which is like allowed by the Chinese government. They will allow you to do that as long as you don't like try to like go around asking people sensitive questions and stuff.
What is your favorite story that you covered from Beijing?
Wow, that's actually it's pretty hard. So, but my favorite story from CNN was when it was about a story that I did by myself. Like it was not like a serious news story. So there was this time when you know Taobao, right? I can explain to the viewers that Taobao is like a...
It's like Amazon of China.
Yes, the Chinese version of Amazon, basically. But you can get all kinds of stuff on Taobao. And there was a time when you can find virtual girlfriends. Or
virtual girlfriends?
Yes, virtual girlfriends or boyfriends.
What's that mean? What's it mean to have a virtual girlfriend or boyfriend? Is this like a VR thing?
I thought it was like a VR thing in the first place, but VR was not like a big thing in China, so I was thinking, wow, this is so like cutting edge, right?
Yeah.
And then I went on Taobao to do some research and found out that so for virtual relationship, you can hire a person to talk to you on the phone and call you darling.
Interesting. So they're real people
Yes.
that you pay to call
Yes.
to sweet talk you.
Yeah, to sweet talk
Is
you.
is this the introduction to ASMR?
Yeah, I think in a way it is. And then, so yeah, I pitched it to CNN, and they're like, "Oh, Dayu, you should do it." I'm like, "What? Wait, what?"
Oh, that's great. So they gave you an opportunity
Yeah.
to pursue
Like-
your own story.
Yeah, I'm like, "Do you want me to write it?" They're like, "No, we want you to hire a virtual girlfriend and experience it and write it down, like contribute it to CNN."
Experience it, Dayu.
I'm
Experience
like,
it.
oh man, and I was like, it took me like half an hour to think about it, and I was kind of embarrassed in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I went around it and felt like, oh, forget, like just do it.
So what was the
Just do
experience
it.
like of calling this virtual girlfriend? What did you ask her? What did she say to you?
So she kind of just so there's a period of time like you can hire her for 8 hours.
That's a long time to be on the
Yes.
phone. 8 hours?
It's not always on the phone though. Like WeChat was already like a thing in China, so everybody was talking on WeChat.
What year was this?
That was like 2013.
Okay,
2012.
2013 virtual girlfriends.
Yeah, 2013 virtual girlfriend, and yeah, she would just like send this text messages to you, like calling
they
you
say?
darling, and
Interesting.
asking what you had for lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, like what's like how's your day? Like how do you feel? Are you tired? Like do you want to talk about like the troubles that you went into?
I actually would not mind if someone texted me for 8 hours a day and was like, "How are you? You look so nice on this live stream. I love your shirt with these peaches on it. It is so on brand."
Yeah.
I would be so happy and flattered if my virtual whoever.
and you can get it like you can get this service for like $5 per day, like
$5?
8 hours. Yes, it's really cheap. And like
That makes me kind of sad.
why is sad?
Because they're spending 8 hours a day texting you and complimenting you and whatever, and they
Yeah.
only get $5 for it.
I mean, they don't text like. So the way it works is like they text a few people. Like I later realized.
It's like they're Tindering, you're paying.
Yes, exactly.
Got
So-
it.
So like it's you're in a group of clients and they send out the same like similar type of questions to the same. So at the end of the day, like after I finished the story, I was kind of like disillusioned.
You're like, I don't want a virtual girlfriend no more.
No, nope, sorry, nope. So that's all fake. It's all false. Not true. Not gonna happen. So yeah, whenever like, so to the like a quick tip for those who are seeking like a virtual relationship online, don't do it. Like, you never know like whether you're just like one of those people that he or she talks to. So
So actually earlier this year there was an app that came out where you could also have a virtual boyfriend, and this virtual boyfriend you had to like engage with him and like talk to him, and
What?
this is
It's
like,
like
in
an AI
January.
thing?
Yeah, it was believe this is in January or February. Shout out to Yifei, who's maybe not watching because she's busy working, but she
Okay.
was a person who pointed this out to us, and we
Wow.
found this really fascinating. I'm sure there's an SCMP article out there about virtual boyfriends or
Okay.
something like that. We'll dig
All
that
right.
up for you guys later. So just a few questions that we had here.
Yeah.
We'll save this for later, but
Okay.
Da, you got a request from Alan to sing a song.
Sing a song? What kind of song?
Hint, hint, Da, you apparently used to rap in college, so we'll see if we can convince him to sing a song for us.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that later.
And for somebody had asked if I was previously at AJ Plus. Yes, I was previously at AJ Plus, and in January I moved out here to Hong Kong to launch Goldthread. So thank you for following along all the way from there to here. So the next thing I wanted us to talk about was actually related to how the Chinese government functions in the way that they want to not the way that they want to shape media. So this goes to cash hoarding and, talking about how in the last few years, or actually in the last few decades, a lot of Chinese people have gotten quite rich. But part of getting wealthy for Chinese people means that they have to hoard cash. When you think about like a developing nation, China is still at the point where they didn't have like the same strong banking system that, say, the U.S. had. So a lot of wealth accumulation was accumulating cash. But to start with, cash in China is kind of tricky because your largest denomination is $100 RMB bill.
Yes, 100 RMB bill.
Right. And
as a
what is that
Chinese
equivalent
national,
to?
That's equivalent to like $15 to $20 according to the exchange rate.
Yeah, that's
But
15 to 20 USD. So imagine if every bill you carried was 15 to 20 USD and you could not go any
something
larger
like
than that.
Something like that. Yeah, actually, you can't actually have more than 100 RMB. And as a Chinese national, as for example me, we cannot exchange more than 50,000 US dollars. That's like the maximum amount, I think, for a Chinese national every year.
So
that you can
why
get.
why is there such a strong capital control on where Chinese money is going?
I think it's like I assume that a large part of it goes to like this anti-corruption campaign because a lot of like the government is afraid of like the money flowing out of
Right,
China
right.
to other countries.
Right.
And there are like just so many rich people that like spends walls of cash.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, the top real estater in China, like went on a buying rampage like a couple years back, 2016 and 17, like bought a bunch of places, and there's like even built a building in Madrid.
A building in Madrid?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has a whole building in Madrid?
Yes. He used to like own like a building in Madrid and a football team too, like soccer
Oh,
team.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Wanda, yes, Wanda was the name of the corporation, but it came under scrutiny after a while,
Right.
Because the Chinese government is saying, oh, you can't actually do that because you should invest in China. Why invest in
Why?
other countries, right? And the owner of the company later came out and saying, oh yeah, we are investing our money in China,
I
like doing the
see.
good,
Yeah.
not throwing away money anymore.
Yeah, but this, for a while, so this anti-corruption campaign, part of it was because the government is trying to keep the money from leaving the country. The
Yeah.
other part is, it's been an ongoing thing for corrupt political officials to essentially pocket money from the local government, from, wherever they can find opportunities to pocket money. So there was this incident where the Chinese government busted this one official and found all this cash lined up in his house.
Yeah.
And they were inspired. The Chinese government got inspired to actually launch something that was like a House of Cards TV show based on this guy's
Yeah.
hoarding of money. So let's roll this clip to show you guys what we're talking about with this reality versus news clip of the cash hoarding. So you can see in here our left is the news clip of this man, this government official who was hoarding all this cash in his walls, under his bed.
And on the right is the TV show.
Yeah, on the right is a TV show that was also created to, basically be critical of corrupt government officials and scandalize them, but also turn this whole actual phenomenon into a House of Cards kind of show.
Yeah. So it's basically like this is one of the like examples that the Chinese government really wants people to see, like the effort of cracking down on corruption. But as you can see, like there are just like walls of cash.
Yes.
Lying around there in this guy's home. I'm just like really surprised when I saw it, like, wow, you can have all this amount of cash in your house. But the one thing that really came across my mind was that, like, how didn't all this cash, it looked kind of new though.
Yeah,
right?
It did look
kind of
in the video
new.
It looks super new, which makes me believe that maybe in the news clip that was staged by the news organization.
Oh yeah, maybe
they probably went in and they
I know
put in all this cash.
Well, that would be crazy too. Right?
It'd be crazy, but I wouldn't take that off the table in terms of a possibility for how news gets covered in China.
Yeah, but like, I mean, one thing I'm really interested to know is like how did he preserve all this money that well? Because in Hong Kong it's pretty humid.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people a lot of things get mold.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm really like keen to ask this guy on his preservatives.
There was a Shanghai's article. Let's pull that one up, where we actually learn about this official whose name is
Wei Pengyuan.
Wei Pengyuan, where they go in and they find 200 million yuan worth of money just stashed into his home, and then we'll put some links into these articles. But yes, you can see in this screenshot that we're gonna pull up of this article, state media takes you inside where corrupt official managed to stash 200 million yuan in cash. So this actually makes me think about the marijuana and cannabis rush in California, which is also related to hoarding cash. So for a really long time, up until recently, and so marijuana is still illegal at the federal level for the United States, but for a lot of states such as Colorado and California, it's legal. It's become recreational. But during the period of time where it was still frowned upon, the federal banks basically told the local banks that they were not allowed to take money from these marijuana dispensaries, that these marijuana dispensaries were not legally, since they were running an illegal business selling illegal goods, even though they were legal at the state level, they couldn't open bank accounts.
Oh.
So that meant that at the dispensaries and stuff, most people were paying with cash.
What?
And most of these businesses operated in cash. And this is, it's a pretty lucrative business, right? Like you are paying, you're getting a lot of cash if you're day in, day out. People are buying stuff from you. You have to buy from suppliers and things like that. So there were stories from California about, these people who were in the business trying to find a way to store their cash without it molding, without it, disappearing. And I remember this one story from one of the growers in California, because I used to live in Oakland, which is smack dab in the middle of all of this medical marijuana discussion and controversies. So this one grower was saying that they bought these huge tubes, like PVC pipes, right?
Wow.
And they stuffed all of the cash into these PVC pipes and then closed them off. And they would take this huge tube and they would bury it in their backyard or whatever, kind of like a treasure chest, right? So then they would like make a map to figure out where these things were. But
sounds like GTA 5.
It sounds a little bit like GTA 5, but as it turns out, not all potheads, but some potheads have terrible memory, and they would forget where they stored their cash. So there would come a situation where they would need to maybe buy new supply, or maybe like buy a truck, whatever it was, they needed the cash. And they would go around the yard with their shovel and go like digging around for cash for this PVC pipe. And I know. So on a friend's ranch out in the hill countries of Northern California, this whole thing was happening. And they had found, they found the PVC pipe, they hit it with their shovel, took it out and realized that the money had gotten so wet and moldy because the seal on the PVC pipe wasn't that good. So when I went to visit my friends,
So sad.
so sad. When I went to visit my friends, there was
All the
all
money
this
gone.
all this cash laid out, all these bills laid out on their table because they were trying to dry it out.
Okay.
And you could see some of the bills are like half gone and like rotted through and eaten through by some of the bugs that had gotten to the money.
Oh,
And it
no.
was so sad. It was all this cash. It looked like there was a fire that took out all of this cash. It was so ridiculous.
Oh, maybe like they can still use that money for hip hop videos.
No, you can't use that money for anything. Nobody wants that money.
Okay.
So yes, the hoarding cash problem is it's I'm sure it's these there I've heard stories in China too where these corrupt political officials where they find this cash and half of it is gone or moldy or just it can no longer be usable, and that's why that news clip was. The event, I'm sure, is something that actually happened where they caught this
Yes.
guy, but was that cash actually so fresh?
Yeah, that's.
I'm not sure about that.
Me neither.
This-
I mean, to hoard that amount of cash, you have to spend some time, right? It's not like overnight you get all this cash.
Yeah, exactly. And to keep it so fresh and so crisp, I don't know. I have my doubts about. That's how you fact check. Check whether or not this
Yeah.
is a plausible situation.
But looking at those, I mean, these are perfect for like, if you want to make a music video, like, just
Yeah,
rain-
just
rain
making
cash.
it rain.
Make it rain, baby. Yeah, this is the exact type of things that you want. Fresh mints.
Yeah, but like on this note of cash too, recently we went to Shenzhen to actually cover this story about how China is becoming more and more of a cashless society.
Oh, yeah.
So our discussion here about cash actually easily brings us to some of our upcoming coverage about how the society is being forced to change. I mean, here we're talking about how the biggest denomination is essentially $15. So
Yeah.
naturally, people don't want to carry cash.
No, I
and-
mean, I didn't carry cash. I only carried like $100, like $100 RMB note in my pocket, like for half a year,
And-
and never get a chance to use it.
And for our friends who don't really know about this phenomenon in the last, I would say 5 years,
Yeah.
WeChat Pay and Alipay have completely, I think that it's like wiped out cash. People no longer even go out with a wallet. They just bring their phones out. Is this true? Was this true of your
Yeah,
experience
it's
in
true.
Beijing?
It's very true in Beijing, and in smaller places as well. Like, I paid with Alipay when I was in Dongguan, like, which is like a city in southern China, not so far away from Hong Kong. So it's like a nationwide phenomenon that people pay with their apps instead of cash.
To help our audience, a lot of them, since they're in the U.S., to help them get some perspective about how common people use mobile payments.
On an everyday basis. You
who-
get your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and commute to work.
Commute
And
to
off-
work.
Yeah, commute to work and off work. Basically everything you can imagine. Like maybe even wedding ring for your future wife.
So even really expensive things people were buying with their phones.
I mean, I'm not too sure about that, but like, yeah, basically everything. All the like nearly all the department stores in China support Alipay and WeChat. So you can also buy really expensive stuff. Like, for example, if you want to have like a LV bag, no problem. Yeah, pay
you-
with Alipay.
How did you pay your rent?
How did I paid my rent through WeChat Pay.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. In
so.
Beijing, yeah.
Imagine if Venmo existed on such a scale that you could pay your landlord took rent on Venmo, that you could buy your breakfast on Venmo, that you can. What else could you do? You can pay parking tickets on Venmo,
Yeah.
and there are people who can pay their hospital bills right now. I'm using
Yeah.
Venmo in place of WeChat Pay and Alipay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Imagine practically 80 to 90% of the everyday things in your life you can pay with your phone. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. That's one of the things that I really like about like living in Beijing. It's really convenient.
Yeah, and that like the whole cashlessness, and going from
Yeah.
these, going from what we saw before with the political officials who are stashing cash into their homes, to now cash being rendered almost like a nuisance in China.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to see because one of the professors that we interviewed was talking. He was an economics professor at Peking University.
Yes.
And he was saying that as a developing nation, it's pretty much leapfrogged over the banking industry. It has skipped banking and credit cards to go straight to mobile payments, which is actually not something we've really seen on a mass scale for a developing nation, to go from, cash
To no
to
cash.
phones. Exactly. From
Okay.
cash, no banks, no credit card, no phone. Like this one cab driver, Victoria, was talking to this cab driver in Shenzhen,
Yes.
and he was saying that he doesn't even trust the banks. He puts all of his money in WeChat Pay and Alipay.
What? Why?
Yeah, because he was saying that he cannot trust the banks, that he would rather trust the big institutions like Alipay and WeChat Pay. Pretty
But
crazy.
I have I doubt that really, because I think you can never actually trust one party or one
Exactly.
institution completely.
Right.
I mean, I feel the taxi driver, but personally, I would love to spread my money around.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, you and I have the perspective to maybe say, oh, I wouldn't trust putting my money in these two big tech companies that,
Yeah.
Are
What
pretty
if one
new.
day,
what if they
something
go
happens?
out of business? I don't know. Who knows? Or you don't really know. Your money is being stored on your wallet on your phone. But at the same time,
What if there's one day there's this Tyler Durden situation that happening in Alipay? This is some crazy
yes.
dude
What if some crazy
leveled
dude
it, yeah.
was able to hack into the system and then take all of your money? You just
Yes.
don't know. You don't know, right? But we have the perspective to say don't diversify your portfolio or whatever. But most people, if you aren't super educated, right? Why
Yeah.
would you? Why would
Why
you
would you
have
do
this
that?
thought,
Yeah.
right? Why, when WeChat Pay and Alipay are so convenient for you, why would you suddenly move your money
Yes.
into a bank that is, it's banking is a bureaucratic system, seems like wherever you go. So why would you go from something so convenient and easy to access to suddenly something that is very difficult to access?
Yeah.
Now, so we'll have that video coming up probably in the next month about how China's cash system is changing to become more about QR codes and mobile payments. So just to get to, we're slowly going to wrap up here, but just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of our content that's going to be coming out this week and what has already come out this week. So earlier this week, we put out a video on Tiger Balm, which is probably something that a lot of you guys know and probably have used. Either your grandma used it, or your mom used it, or you use it, or you've seen some old lady on the plane use it.
It's pretty good. I'm saying you can. I'm not sure how it works, but it actually does everything.
This is not an ad for Tiger Balm.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah.
But there's a reason why it's been around since the 1800s. So
Yes.
you can watch our Tiger Balm video, which just went out last night. That one's really a really fun one. We went to the video goes into the factory and meets the person who currently runs the Tiger Balm factory, and he's a really sweet, adorable Singaporean man with a really sweet way of talking about Tiger Balm. And
Okay, sweet talker.
he's a sweet talker.
Yeah.
And then this week we have a really awesome video coming out. It is about this tattoo artist in Beijing. His name is Jiu Wu, and he runs this really a really beautiful tattoo parlor in Beijing, and there he does these very traditional style tattoos, but they're inspired by Yakuza tattoos, and they're full
Wow.
body, they're full body from the back all the way down. While we were filming, he had 2 different clients come in and who
Wow.
were just getting their regular touch-ups, and they were literally like from neck all the way down to butt. I mean, it was actually kind of cool because we were
Is
just
it like tigers and dragons and shit?
it was inspired by Chinese traditional mythologies and
okay.
allegories and imagery, but blended with some of the Japanese tattoo style, to basically have this combination of traditional traditional Chinese culture blended with really masterful Japanese style tattooing. And Jiu talked to us about the history of tattooing in China, about this myth about this warrior, this Chinese warrior who got these words tattooed onto his back. Do you know the
I
story?
remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
So what
good
is
thing.
the phrase?
岳飞
So the
精忠
warriors
报国
call
嘛
yes 精忠报国
Yeah, all the Chinese, like, if you grow up in China, you know that.
So it's this legend about this warrior who got
got
essentially
the first tattoo, I
the
think.
first tattoo in China.
Recorded in history, though. Like, but, like, prisoners got tattoo, but it's, like, a different thing.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's, like, the first person that actually got it on purpose and really use it as decorative.
Right.
Rather than, like...
Yeah.
Punitive kind of effect.
Exactly. So the legend goes that the tattoo says, protect and honor your nation. And his mom was the person to tattoo that onto him.
So, like, it sounds pretty badass.
It sounds pretty badass. There's your origins of the tiger mom, all right? If your mom does not tattoo you on the back, then she does not love you nearly enough. So let's see. I'm just going to take a quick look to see if we have other questions. My shirt, real quick, I got this from the men's section of Urban Outfitters. I love this shirt, but I never find this pattern or style for women, so I had to get the men's version.
It's really cool.
It's really cool, right?
Yeah.
We need some of these.
Yeah, we need some of these peaches.
We need peaches. Guys, you can look forward to the Goldthread Etsy store, and one day we'll just get to stop making videos so that we can just sell swag. So you can look forward to that too.
Yeah. Open a store on Taobao. Yeah, increase your sale. Yeah, advertise it.
You can pay me with anything: Venmo, Alipay, WeChat Pay. We'll
Apple
take it
Pay,
all.
Android Pay.
Android Pay. We'll take all of the pay. Send us your cash.
Yeah.
And just to wrap up here, to go through a few of your questions. Dayu, do you think you'll be able to give us a little bit of a song?
You can give me a beat. I can give you a freestyle.
Oh man, I don't know if maybe I can pull up a beat.
Yeah, you can pull up a beat anywhere from the internet. Yeah, I could try to. I haven't done this for a while, so
let me pull up
expect me to be like
a freestyle
perfect.
beat.
Yeah, okay.
While I'm pulling up a beat, Rio asked us what is this beautiful painting behind us?
The painting behind us. I think it's especially done for SCMP actually, from a Hong Kong artist.
Yeah, it's actually a landscape of Hong Kong.
Yes, it's a landscape of Hong Kong. Victoria Harbor, I think.
Probably.
Yeah,
looks like Victoria Harbor.
Yeah, like as you can see a little bit in the back, I think it's an MTR train somewhere around here.
Yeah,
and,
it's a real painting. So
it's a real painting. Yes.
A lot of the rooms here.
And actually, yeah, we can check out the name of the painting and the artist and send it over to you probably by on Facebook.
All right, I've got us a beat.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right.
Okay. Pulling it up.
Yeah.
Pulling it up.
Freestyle rap battle beat.
Are you ready? Are you guys ready? 可以了。Okay.
他们都说中国有嘻哈，其实我想跟你说的是，中国确实有嘻嘻哈哈的玩闹，但是没有真的说唱。没错，因为他们都被禁了。但是这个哥们儿还在这块说着和我的同事道理力一起玩着，没错。给你这个真的说唱，不是那些兑了水的中国新说唱。没错，这个节目我们说的就是你，别再说那些虚的假的都是放屁，所以现在给你这个东西，来自 DZ， 你听的没错 ，Yeah。
Damn, Dayu, why did you put that on your resume when you came here? Everybody send hearts. Oh my god. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dayu, for joining us for the late night show.
That was actually the most nervous part.
That was amazing. That was the best part. Oh my god. We're going to cut just that part out so just share with you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Thursday. Catch our tattoo artist video on Friday. That'll be coming out Friday night. And we'll see you guys soon here on The Late Night Show.
You've been watching Late Night with Goldthread. Thank you and come again.